Alright, well, I wasn't going to do any video on this. I was running the CNC mill here yesterday morning, and all of a sudden I got some binding and skipping steps on the Z-axis, and I started tearing things apart because things were obviously not right. And what I found was stripped teeth on the gear on the end of the feed clutch here. Let me pull it up. And we came up with this. Now, I don't know why that should create any problems at all. You know, this mill's about 30 years old now. So, actually, it's just about 30 years old now. So, anyway, I got online, thought we would order a new one. Well, of course, they're showing out of stock from Grizzly. You know, more coming soon, and we'll notify you when we get them. So, not real expensive, but by the same token, they don't have any. And I got to looking at the way the CNC conversion was done. And of course, this is a CNC conversion that I did, but it was off of plans from Home Shop Machinist back in the 80s type of thing, I believe it was. And it's when they first started doing a few little conversions and doing some stuff. And at the time, it looked like a pretty good design. You know, we didn't at that point in time realize that we didn't want a round column mill drill to be converted because you couldn't adjust heights, and it's a really poor conversion in this day and age, but it's what I've got and what I'm going to work with it a little bit since it's already set up and running now, or it was running. Alright, well, here's the mill as it sits right now. And the way it was originally set up, I think I'd gone over before, and you've seen this in operation before, is the stepper motor for the Z-axis and all of the mountings here set on this side, and they operated through the fine feed mechanism. The pulley sat right here behind the fine feed hand wheel, and that controlled your Z-axis. So the way I had it set up, I could still, and I do have, and for the foreseeable future I'm going to, I've got switches so I can disconnect my steppers, so I can still operate this machine manually. So what I did is I took my bracketry, and this is the original brackets that I had minus one of them. And the stepper motor sat out this way on the same mounting bracket. It sat up here with this mount coming down. This part runs through the head and it's bolted in on this side. It originally stuck out this side, so I just reversed it, and it fits right in there. Now I have narrowed it down to tuck the stepper motor in a little bit more. And everything that I had mounted on the side, the little Noga cooler, the air hose, and my power drawbar control. The power drawbar control was mounted up and back in a little bit. The Noga and the air stuff was mounted to the side of the head, back in there. I knew that needed some changes. There were some things I didn't like about it, and then on the other end of the hand wheel out here for hand feeding it, and the clutch for the fine feed was mounted here, and then on this side was the little flat coily spring that breaks, and I've broken 2 or 3 of them over the years. So I've never liked that system. What I came up with is I mounted my gear on that side to match up with the stepper motor, and then instead of having that spring there, I've done a counterweight system. So I've basically just got a weight, and I've kind of balanced it. It's going to take some change there too, and I may leave it just like this because I want the stepper motor to not have to work any harder than it really should. Now my only concern is there's a potential for backlash, because this end of the clutch housing is what imploded the gears, and I'd shown that before, I think, in the first part of this. So I lost the ability to find feed, so consequently it lost the ability for those stepper motors to operate without losing position. What I've done is I've just taken and tightened the clutch down with the hand wheel here, and we'll run our belt on that side. What I've in essence done there is I've eliminated one other set of gears. I've eliminated the worm in the gear for the fine feed. The stepper motor was running through that, and then it was running through the rack and pinion on the back of the quill. So I think this should alleviate a little bit of the backlash to start with, just because we're not going through this extra set of gears. Now I'm kind of concerned about the backlash here, and that may be a problem with the weight system I've got it set up. I may have to add a spring, I may have to do something else, I don't know, and it may not work at all at the end of the day. But I think it will. So anyway, all I did was I've drilled the housing, which we're going to throw this housing away anyway if we replace it, and tightened the clutch down permanently, so it'll still operate under stepper control. Like I say, the only thing maybe if we've got any backlash in this section right here, and I can feel a little bit right there. So that may be an issue, but we would have had that same backlash to start with before. So we're going to give it a try and see what we come up with. Like I say, belt will be here this afternoon, so I'll get it put back together, and we'll see how it works. Now, anyway, this is just kind of what's going on today. It's kind of a nasty day. Poured rain this morning, and the wind's blowing like crazy, and so it's noisy and windy. But anyway, I ran bluing tanks a little bit ago, and all I was doing was running through all these little parts that I've been building over the last couple of months that I've had done here and sitting and waiting to be blued. And I wanted to clean some backing plates and stuff off the bench here and try and clean this bench up a little bit. And so we ran bluing tanks. So I'll bring you in here. I'm just going to wipe this stuff down. I'll show you what it is, and we'll reassemble part of it, and the rest of it we'll just set out of the way for now. Alright, this is just parts as they came out. I've got 2 baskets of pieces here, and these get wiped down. This is the oil that they went into during the bluing process. This is the last step. They'll come in, and then I'll re-oil them before I put them away, but for right now we'll just wipe them down. This is the backing plate for that little 4-jaw to 1 in 10, and we just blew them up, protect them, make them look pretty before we put them away and start using them. I'll have to build a rack. I've got a couple of these little backing plates now. The other one's on down here. This is just tooling that goes along when I was building collets, and this is just one of the little spacers that I built. And that's what these are. This is just another little bushing. Yeah, and this one's marked spacer. So that way I try and mark them, and if they're blued, I know they're actually something and not just a piece of scrap that gets thrown away. Now these are I got 3 of these. These are the little socket head cap screws that I relieved for the fingers on the steady rest, where I'd machined them down here. Why, they were shiny and the finish was gone off of them, so we just blued them up. Get them in there. We got all 3 of them. These are more of this is one of the spacers I built for the backstop to go in the 5C collet. Just got a little pin spacer that goes with them. And this was the shaft that I turned down when I was building collets to index them up to get the angles right. Stuff out of the way. This is the nut that goes on the steady rest. I'd sandblasted it off. It was kind of ugly. And then I've got the 3 fingers that we machined out for on it. I emptied one basket out, and then in the other basket, this is our other backing plate. And this adapts the 4-jaw to the shaper indexer. Got the dog about to knock the tripod askew here. What are you doing here? Well, there's our second backing plate. This goes on the index, on the Atlas index rotary table. The Atlas rotary table. And this was actually tooling for some rifle parts that I was building. This index is up in the center. And then the parts fit over the top so I can machine them on the index. More little spacers. And this was a little spacer that I'd built, but it was apparently stainless steel. It was obviously stainless steel. And then we've got the jaws that we had built for the 3-jaw chuck. Just a short little batch of bluing to run, but now I can oil them up, reassemble pieces, and put them away so they're completely done and ready to use. So I'm going to go ahead, finish wiping these down. I'll oil them up, and I'll put away the pieces that are just tooling that I'd already finished and really don't have anything to do with this. But then we'll go ahead and put the steady rest and the chuck back together. Well, a little bit better than actually wear a little bit better, I think, when I finish up the way it's supposed to be. Let's tighten those down until we get that far. Okay, I can consider that project completely done now. So now I don't have to worry about it anymore. Let me get it out of the way. And now if we do the same thing with our 3-jaw chuck here. 3. 1. There's a 3. One on top. That's one right there. Now, I already used this chuck. These jaws work really good. Another blue I can consider. This side jaw's completely done. Consider those pretty well done. I finished up these projects. Now I was building the hold down clamps for on the Atlas stuff, and we've already seen the completed ones. I actually made another set of 4, although I made 5 in reality, and I haven't finished them yet because I have to shave the top and drill them for the hold down bolt. Unfortunately, that's about the time that the milling machine decided to self-implode itself. So as soon as I get it back together, well, I'll go ahead and machine those off and get those done. But I've got 5 more of those. I've got 4 of these. These are all going into my collection. We'll be building racks and storage racks for all of this stuff. But these were actually anodized up with gray. And I'd only used this gray one time before, and I'm not real impressed with it. It does a little bit, but it doesn't do a whole lot. Now, I had one that was kind of a prototype that I did that I went ahead and anodized up, and then I engraved it, whereas these were engraved first. And you can tell a little bit of difference, but not a big deal. So anyway, those are done. Actually, I think I've already got the plans loaded onto the website. I don't have a write-up to go with them yet, but I've got the drawings themselves are loaded onto the website. So there'll be pictures and everything there here directly if I don't have them up yet. But anyway, so those are done. I'm pretty much considering this to be a wrap on them. Did a little 3D print. This was drawn up in Fusion, and I think this is going to be my way covers. When I initially printed it, I thought I didn't like it, but actually it fits very nicely into the T-slots and everything. But I'm going to wait until I get my vices mounted so that I can figure out exactly what lengths I need to fill those T-slots, and then we'll go ahead and print them out. But these are a pretty nice fit in there. I'm actually really happy with them. They're a friction fit down in, and look like they're going to protect everything pretty nicely. Maybe a little bit thick sticking up through there, we'll see, and I could potentially make this a little shorter down through there. Took a fall the other day. I'm kind of protecting my hand here. I've got some scratches and scrapes and puncture wounds and stuff like that, but that's a story in and of itself. Anyway, we're nursing my hand and my knee. So anyway, these are what I'm kind of thinking I'm going to use for filling the T-slots, just to keep chips out, make it a little bit easier to clean that up. I've seen things used like hose of different sort, air hose, that type of thing, and I'd originally thought that's what I was going to do, but I was sitting the other night playing with Fusion, and I thought, well, I'd draw this up and see what it looked like. And like I say, once I started printing it, I didn't think I was really going to like them, but now that I've actually tried them in the table, I think it may be a really nice alternative. They fit in there fairly tightly, and yet they'll come out if you need to take them out to clean underneath, that type of thing. So once I get that fitted, I'll probably print out one to fill the little cutouts on either end of the table. But, okay, well, we've got kind of a little unboxing, but this is going to be the last little bit on this shop update, and lots going on. So you saw at the beginning of this I was having problems with the milling machine, with the CNC setup. I've dinked around with that and made some changes to it, and everything I do is kind of a compromise on it. So what I've done is I've kind of set it aside for the moment. Like I say, I've tried a few things with it. I can make it work. I don't like what I ended up with. So we've done a little ordering, and this is actually Saturday morning. As of when I just finished checking tracking, why my new milling machine is sitting in Portland right now on a UPS, at a UPS terminal. So it'll be here Monday. I'll go down and pick it up Monday morning from the local UPS freight terminal. And I got a couple other things that I ordered along with it, just a couple of small things. So we'll do. I don't know if we're going to show an unloading video on that. You know, I tend to move around all this stuff that's way too heavy for me to be supposedly moving by myself. But anyway, I've ordered a couple more things, and I thought I've already opened these boxes, but I haven't fully opened them up. So this is one of the new little toys, and the only other little thing was we've got a fancy little R8 collet, which this is it's just a standard R8 collet, and this is a South Bend. Now this stuff came from Grizzly Industrial, and I'm in Yakima there in Bellingham, and I was actually surprised that the shipping service has been absolutely excellent so far. We'll see if the mill shows up when it's supposed to, but the stuff was shipped out. I ordered it one day, it was shipped out the next, including the mill. So I was actually really impressed. We knew it was in stock and all of that. So I ended up and ordered the new mill from Grizzly, and I'll go over that. There's pros and cons to that, but I'll kind of give my thoughts on that when we get it in the shop and get to looking at it and find out what we've really got. So anyway, I ordered a 3/4 inch collet with it, because for right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to utilize all the tooling that I had on the other mill for that one, and then we'll decide what we're going to do. I'm going to make some changes. Some things are going to come off of that mill and be dedicated to the new mill, stuff like that. But anyway, R8 collet. 3/4 inch. I'm going to set up the new mill with the TTS tooling like I've been setting up on the CNC mill, and that's the system I'm going to stay with that system. You know, I like that TTS system. We'll keep adding tool holders for that and accessories for that system, because for me here in this shop, that's going to work really well. So anyway, this is one of their South Bend collets. They're dirt cheap. I'm sure they're imported. I don't know if they say they're made offshore, which I would imagine they are. Now these are Taiwan. They're Taiwan built, which is probably a step up from a lot of the things that roll in from Grizzly and some of the other ones. But it's you know, looks to be a fairly nice collet. What can you say about a collet? And this one will take, and I'll probably, looks to be finished pretty nice and everything. I'm so far I'm happy with that. We'll see what run out is on it when we set it up. But what I'll probably do is I'll probably set it up in the collet chuck on the Sheldon. We'll go ahead and chuck a piece of stock in it, and we'll see if we can machine it off. I don't know how hard it is. It's pretty well hard, so we'll probably have to grind it, but we'll grind it flat so it's got basically a flat face like the TTS accepts. For the most part, I don't know that that's absolutely necessary with the TTS tooling. Most of the tooling that I've had with it seems to clear that little dome that's on the 3/4 inch collets. The only thing I found was I had to radius the outer edge of this collet to clear the TTS, the inside of the TTS collars on some of them. Otherwise, they would tend to hang there. So that's probably an issue more than the dome on the top. So we'll have to at least turn that outer edge back a little bit, or grind it back, do something with it. So anyway, got a collet. Wasn't that exciting? We like having these exciting things, you know. And I mean, there's a big unboxing. I don't normally do unboxings at all, but you got to see a TTS collet or an R8 collet unboxed here on hillsgun channel. What a thrill for all of us. Now, the thing that I am kind of excited about is this little box. And I've been building some of the smaller tooling for the Atlas mill and that type of thing, and I'm going to continue to do that. I've got a couple more turret lathe tooling holders I want to build for on the little Atlas lathe, on the turret lathe. And they've got some compound angles on them. So when I ordered the mill at the same time, I ordered one of these small two-way angle vices, and they're, you know, a couple $100. They're relatively cheap, and I've already opened this up and looked at it, of course, but I haven't actually unpackaged it to see what it is. It's packaged really well. It all came in a good-sized box for the two little pieces. It was packaged well. I've got no complaints there whatsoever. And this is our little. That appears to be all that's in the box, is just the vise itself. So I got the small 2-inch vise, and let's come in a little bit closer on it. Back to my messy bench here. But I'd taken it out and looked at it this far, but I haven't pulled it out of the plastic. Looks to be a very nice little vise. And there's a couple reasons I went with this smaller vise. You know, this is more adapted in size for the smaller Atlas machines, like the little Atlas mill. So if I've got a use for it there, I can. It's got a 2-inch capacity. Is all the bigger the capacity is. How do we get this handle just pulls right off. Goes on. And of course, it's packed in cosmoline. Finish on it actually looks very nice. Now, I didn't notice a key for the bottom. I don't know if there's a key with it or not. It's only got a 2-inch capacity, is what they rated at. But I thought for the smaller stuff that I want to do, why this is more appropriate. I think the next bigger one's a 5-inch. And what I found with the vices, looks like we've got more than 2 inches there. What do we have? I've got just over 2, maybe about 2 1/16 is what it is. 2-inch wide vice jaws. So for 90% of what I want to do, I think this will be fine for the smaller stuff. And even though I'm playing with the bigger machinery too, I think I want to concentrate on these smaller Atlas machines, or that size machine, just because I think they're more appropriate to what's commonly done in the little home shops. And as I said before, at some point in time, why I'm going to be old and have smaller machines only, probably, although I hope not. And this will be appropriate for that tooling. Now, that size-wise, what do we have? About 5 inches between. Yeah, we've got about a 6-inch base overall, with looks like about 5 inches in the T-slots. So we're 5.5 inches is the base width. Looks like it's going to accept. It'll accept a 3/8 key, or a 3/8 hold-down bolt. It looks like, although just barely. But it'll accept a 3/8. So the 5/16 tooling that I'm setting up on the little Atlas is going to be perfect for it. That's a nice small footprint. I think that'll work really well. So I think that was a good investment. You know, it seems like it's pretty well made. So anyway, a little unboxing. So that's kind of what's happening in the shop. You know, I showed some of the other stuff at the beginning of this video, and this is just kind of what's been happening because everything's been up in the air around here with having problems with the milling machine. So hopefully I've given you something that's a little bit interesting to you. You'll want to stay around for, and if you did and haven't already, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that subscribe button. If you hit the bell notification, you'll know when I put out a new video. And any comments or suggestions, leave them in the comment section for me below. And I think acetone will probably take the paint right off of that. So we don't want to do that. Doesn't look like. But, yeah. So whatever paint they're using, it looks pretty good, but it is not going to be acetone friendly. So we'll use a degreaser and an alcohol to clean that up with. So anyway, any comments or suggestions, leave them in the comments section for me below, guys. And as always, thanks for taking the time to watch.